Okay, we need to talk. Air One is selling a single strawberry for $17. $17. It's not a basket, not some rare hand-picked life-changing fruit. It's just one single strawberry. And somehow this isn't even the wildest thing that's happening in marketing right now.
I actually saw this creator. She's a podcaster too, Darren Karp, who's like, I think she's on these like daily shows like Today Show. She flew from LA to New York to do one of these morning shows with four single packed
No.
strawberries on her lap because they wanted to try them live on air. And she was like, it is actually worth it, but is it really? And what does this all tie into?
I don't know what to think, but I did see Alyssa Untosi's video that made this go viral, and I think she has like 17 million views on the original video of her tasting this strawberry. I was like most of the people in the comments thinking Air One has to be a social experiment, and it just has to be. But also, we live in LA, and I kind of want to try it. So
I
that's where I'm
honestly
at.
think that we should do it for content. Uh I tried to do that yesterday with my boyfriend, but he was not about it. He was like, "Are you crazy?"
Let's do it
And
in
he was
two
like, "We're
weeks
not
when
going
I'm
to Air One."
in LA. We have to do it.
Yes,
That's one of it. We'll do it. Okay,
let's do
there
it.
you go.
Okay, okay,
Enough
agreed.
admin.
Okay.
Let's go.
So, welcome back to House of Content, where we break down all things social media, culture, and the wild world of creators. So, today we're talking about how marketing is getting bigger than ever, literally. Um, Brands are making their campaigns huge. Jacquemus has handbags the size of cars. Channel is dropping life size perfume bottles. And Rhodes lip treatments are bigger than your head. Meanwhile, the actual products like that we buy, like the strawberry, they're shrinking.
Shrinkflation
So
is real.
yes, so mini bags, tiny perfumes, pocket sized beauty. Why is everything that we actually consume getting smaller while keeps getting louder and supersized? Is this us just falling for another marketing stunt, or have brands figured out how to make us feel like we're getting more by actually giving us less? Let's get into it.
That's such a good question because I thought when I saw this sort of supersized trend come into life, we've seen that building corner of the Louis Vuitton luggage or Jacques Mousse that does
Mm-hmm.
a lot of this supersized stuff, and especially with now AI kind of like making it very accessible to do these sort of CGI supersized things, or even the Kim Kardashian first Skims, that like massive balloon that was on Times Square. At first I thought like maybe it's just again, like whenever we get a content hook, content visual content construct that starts working on social, it always creates this sort of a wave of every brand jumping on board. But I think it's really fascinating how you're connecting it now into, okay, we're seeing like these brands feel literally larger than life, and at the same time we're getting less and less and we're paying more for it. So I'm actually getting a little annoyed right now as we speak.
How do you feel about it, Yanni? I want to hear your
I
take.
have mixed feelings because I'm really enjoying this sort of supersizing visually.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But when you start to think about how that is just bluff and air, in a way, in terms of what you get, to your point, Christine, you do get a little bit angry. But it's super
Mm.
interesting because there is also a lot of like social trends where people are really into small things. And so these things are blending interestingly as well, that like there's been products that are launched that purposefully are small, and that's what's the draw. I was just visiting the Stod store and I saw the same bag that I have that has my dog painted on it. Don't ask me why I have it. But they have a poop bag version. So basically, a mini tiny bag where you can just fit the poop bags that you can now attach as a charm on the actual bag. And the draw there is that it's small. And I also bought the viral Lululemon backpack, which is the mini backpack that I obviously made my dog's backpack. And my husband thinks I have lost it. But we don't need to tell him everything, and we don't need to explain why we need it,
No,
because
we don't.
obviously it's market research for, someone who's a creative director and works in advertising.
100%. And one thing that I always think is like, do these massive brand stunts make you actually want to buy the product? And in a way, I mean, it is, they are gaining awareness. Like when you see something so big on your feed, even though it's on your small phone, like you will make like a mental note. Like you won't just
Yeah.
pat, like even though there are more and more brands popping into it, like you will remember it. But I do agree with you that I'm kind of also getting those mixed feelings and kind of like a little annoyed. Like even the first one, like Maybelline CGI mascara in the subway. I don't know if it was the first one, but it was
Mhm.
something that really caught my eye. Like first I was like, wait, what is this? And I don't know, sometimes somehow it felt even like too dumb. Like from, I don't know, I kind of got annoyed by it, but at the same time I was fascinated by like how this world is moving now and like what's coming next. And they look cool, sure, and they go viral, but like do they really matter beyond social media? Like that's what I'm wondering.
I think, in a sense, it is smart branding because there is that element of, again, memorability and being able to take something that is not memorable, a product in of itself, unless there's some kind of like icon status behind it. Like Maybelline launching a new mascara is not memorable, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
matter what the product
we've seen
looks
hundreds of
like. Right,
ads already.
right. And so, but then you blow up something that is not memorable, and by the just the virtue of the aesthetic effect, now is something that you might like look, you'll stop scrolling, you might share it with somebody. So I do think there is the novelty factor, but I also think it's going to wear out the more and more we see that, and I think we're going to then like transition into a different trend. But again, like bringing it back to your original point, is it also distraction from us, actually, for keeping us from having that conversation around like, okay, but are we actually getting value, or is all of the money being put into branding and not into product
But that's the
production?
interesting part about it. When you're either minimizing the product or supersizing it, for some reason, it makes it more of an accessory, like a
Mm-hmm.
approachable thing. And you almost like forget that that is the commercial product that's being pushed on you because it's
Yeah.
not the real thing. And so that's the interesting part for me, that like, why are we so obsessed with mini versions of products, and why are we so obsessed with the visual of the big product? Because it's just the product, to your point, it is just the mascara,
Hmm.
but somehow it tickles our senses in a way where we like,
Yes,
we want to take photos with it, and we want to see it in
we want to
real
touch
life,
it.
we want to touch it,
Yeah.
we want a mini version just to have in our
It's
tiny
a
tiny
status thing.
pocket of our bag. Exactly.
I have a tiny hot sauce bottle that is
Of course you
that
do.
I like
Do
that
you
I
carry
got.
it with you in your bag?
I do. I got it from a. It's in my Gucci bag. I got. Is
What's the
that
brand?
weird?
What's the brand? No, I love that.
This
I
is so
need to know
It's the
iconic.
what hot sauce is so delicious that you need to carry it in your
it's
bag,
it's
or is it
it's
just a tiny
Tabasco.
bottle?
It's a green Tabasco bottle that I
Ah,
got from a oyster bar. That was like, it was like in the midst of the oysters, so I took it. It's still like sealed
that's
and
so
closed. It is
funny.
so cute. I'm obsessed with it. But I think that, with there's one point that I have to make with like this like sort of move to minis, is that we know that even for like beauty products, if you get the mini version, the cost that you're paying per liquid ounce of that product is exponentially higher. So there's like a lot more profit margins around that. But I think it's a little bit like related to like hashtag recession core, right? Because
Mhm.
now that we're being like, we have less dollars to spend and everything is expensive, you get that sort of, it's almost that lipstick index. Like that's the thing, that small things of luxury that you can still actually buy.
Yes, 100%. It's like how does this tiny like Chanel perfume or a tiny lipstick or a tiny Jacquemus bag, like they still feel luxurious even though you're getting less. Like if anything, it should kind of feel like a scam, but instead it feels more like a flex, and they're so freaking cute. So like you still want those. Like I saw Yanni the other day, you were wearing this
Oh, I
mini bag,
was.
and I asked you like, Yanni, like, can you actually fit anything there? And you said no, and I think it's absolutely adorable.
No,
What
no,
I
no.
want to
Let's
understand it.
correct. I said my answer, because the thing is, when I wear this mini bag, it's a tiny Jacquemus bag with a chain on it, and it has the little J on it, which is obviously my initial. And when I wear it, I get around 7 people asking about it every time I wear it. So it has kind of a weird pull. but everyone asks what fits inside, which you did. And I didn't say
Yes.
nothing. I said my
Oh, you didn't.
patience. I said my
Oh,
patience.
That's iconic.
that is iconic.
Yes.
I sorry for forgetting that. In my
Yeah.
mind, I was like, "There's
Just
nothing," but you
remember.
have so much patience. That's true.
Because she
That's
has no
funny.
patience, so ergo nothing fits.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly. And I
but
don't need to put anything else in there. I'm
Oh
carrying
my
the
god.
patience with me. Yeah.
Okay, I
I
love the story behind that. It makes total sense that you're carrying around that bag
Yeah.
full of patience.
I draw the line on bags where I cannot fit my phone into. Like that gives me just like it gives me rage. I cannot have my phone in a different vessel to carry than my bag. But I think for me minis are so I love samples. I absolutely love mini products. Like the Sephora mini
Mhm.
section is my favorite section
Ah,
in Sephora.
it's so difficult to just walk past through that.
And
Mhm.
I think also because to me it's about discovery, and especially with like beauty products, I don't want to buy the 70-80 dollar full size product. I want to get the small one first, and also because like I travel quite a lot for work and for leisure, I don't know, I just love having mini especially like mini hair care, like take all my money.
I love them as well. And the one thing that is confusing to me about it is, like you mentioned, the markup on those is, crazy, and
Mm-hmm.
you're really not
It
getting
is.
that much. But somehow, even as someone who went to business school, my brain still thinks girl math. Like, I'm like, I
Cheaper.
only spent $12 on this thing, but
Yeah.
it's tiny. But at the same
And you get
time,
the full size for 20.
no, exactly. But in my head, I'm like, this is great. Um, and I don't know how that happens because I know better than that, but I also don't know better than that
But I
in the
honestly
moment.
do think that I do think that the mini size, especially when we're talking about beauty product, I think it does make a lot of sense because then, especially if you haven't tried that one before, like, do you rather drop, let's say, $30 on a new powder or like foundation or whatever, and you might not even like that, and then you're
Yeah.
wasting a lot of product and money, or do you buy the smaller one? Sure, you're paying maybe a little bit more, but then if you don't like it, you're not in a way wasting as much product or your money. So like I'm with you on that.
Also, there's the thing of like sort of hitting the pan with your beauty products, and there's so much like I think some, and it depends on what product it is. For example, like skincare products, I will like use every single thing that I buy. It will run out. I will have to rebuy. But then there are things that, like for example, setting powder. Like, have you guys ever run
Mhm.
out of setting powder in your life?
No.
I
No.
Exactly.
actually I actually got one of those mini size setting
Well, that's
powders
mini.
from Sephora. Yeah, and I was like, I don't
That's what
know
I
if I want the
have.
big one. And I took the mini one and I bought it like 6 months ago. I use it every day. I don't understand how I was like just using it this morning. I'm like, how is it still like half full? But I do have to admit that like I impulse bought a package of these four mini perfumes last week without even testing all of them. I only had tested one of them and they were so cute and like super aesthetic. And I was like, okay, now I can have like one in each of my bags. But I only liked one of them. And obviously, thanks to Sephora's return policy, I am going to be returning all of them. But let's be real, they're probably going to go to waste. So I really wanted to love them, but like, was it really worth it? I'm not really sure. So I kind of feel bad about that, even though like financially it was, I don't know, maybe a good decision, especially with the return policy. But I don't
I
know.
I think that with there are a couple like the smaller perfume, like especially the indie perfume houses, you can actually order a collection of like tester size. So they're not even mini. You're
Yes,
ordering just
that's
like
my plan.
testers. And
I want the tester size.
I absolutely love that because I'm so sick of the sort of mainstream perfumes. Like I don't want to wear Santal, what is Santal 33? That
I don't
everybody in
know.
LA
I don't
has,
wear mainstream either.
or like Byretto's gypsy water. That is the isn't that the official LA girl scent? I want to get
Yes.
like something more niche, and I think the minis are a perfect way to sort of like test things out. And I actually think that like minis and even testers, I think they're underutilized in marketing, in the sense that
Yes.
if you remember back when we were starting out in marketing, I felt like there were a lot more experiential events and sampling where a lot of new
Mhm.
beauty products would be sampled. And today we don't have so much of that. Everybody's relying on influencers to like push your new product.
That is so true.
And I think we need to bring it back because I think, especially for beauty products, it really is the experience of trying that. And so I'm hoping that this sort of mini culture actually like evolves into sampling again, because I think that's the one thing that's going to unlock new consumer bases. But I want to go back to one of the earlier thoughts, and like, we're seeing these tiny versions of products like the have you seen the mini Birkins for AirPods? It is
Yeah.
a creator called Lustra Pouch, and it's an 84-year-old grandpa on TikTok that is hand making tiny Birkins for your AirPods. So tiny is also becoming sort of a status symbol, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
I
I
think there's like a weird intersection with, aesthetically we're starting to be drawn to things like bag charms and,
Mhm.
accessorizing our shoelaces and just like small things. And I think you're right in mentioning that it's giving a little bit recession core because we're getting
Yeah.
these small hits of dopamine and things that like make us feel good, but they might not be super expensive, or they're just like tiny doses, and it makes you happy when you're looking at it every day, but it is like small and kind of minor.
Yes, I'm actually going today to this like girls gathering where we're going to be creating our own like charm necklaces. I've been really dying to do that, and I'm like already, I was already looking at. Yeah, I saw that you're wearing one, Christine. I really wanted to make one, and I think they're so cute how you can curate like your personality like based on all of those. Like I'm obsessed with that. And I love how it's not just, yeah, brands that are shrinking products, but it's also creators like you mentioned, Christine, who are fully embracing this mini culture in the best way. There are also like bunch of stop motion artists building entire tiny worlds, and like, yeah, influencers styling their micro handbags, ASMR creators making these really like tiny super satisfying content, and which is obviously super addictive to watch. Do you think that this is just a trend that we're seeing that creators are leaning into? Or is it somehow making social media better? Is it something that we see as a long lasting thing that's going to continue to live on social media?
I would say the supersized marketing piece is one that seems really hot right now, but I think that it's going to be a little bit passe in the sense that like when everyone's doing it, are you going to stand out? And I think the mascara example that kind of started the whole like CGI conversation along with Jacquemus, like I think now that's kind of at a point where it's like if you're suggesting an idea, and I'm saying this as a creative director, it's like you're suggesting an idea, I'm going to ask you like what makes this special, knowing there's already been so many around. But something about the mini part to me is more long term, because I don't know what it
Mhm.
is, but I feel like people are drawn to that, not as a trend, but just like they just love small things. And that's why we've got the corner of the internet that is just obsessed with mini anything and everything. And so I find that to be a little bit more like it's a deeper thing than just a sort of like visual trend within advertising and branding that the supersized piece seems to have. But that's just kind of my gut. And I we work with brands before, like Bear, we made some content with like mini paint cans and we
Mm-hmm.
put little bows
Oh
on
yeah,
them,
I love
and
those. They're so cute.
people love that. And so I think that is just something you could totally keep going. Like people would want to see something like that over and over again potentially. But I think like supersizing is a little bit different. I find that to be a little bit more of an aesthetics
It's
piece.
more of a hack. And you're very right.
Hmm.
Like if we think about just companies like Fisher Price with their little people collectors items, these are really like
Mhm.
mini products that people love. Like nobody loves collecting
Or
like
Polly Pockets. Like we already had
Polly
them 2 decades
Pockets.
ago, like in the 90s.
Polly Pockets, because now Lisa
They're
Sesga,
having a moment.
they're having a moment. Lisa Sesga, the indie fashion brand, they actually made a Polly Pocket um co-branded clothing line,
Yeah, I
that is
saw.
Saw
Set's line.
that.
And I think we're only going to get more and more Polly Pockets content and dollcore. I think that's going to be a big one. I think there's still that movie in the makes. I don't know what happened to it. Like maybe but I think it's coming out. Like there is a big movie production house that bought the rights to Polly Pocket. So I think that's going to be maybe the next Barbie movie. And I also think that brands have been doing these as one-offs, but I think it's going to be a bit of a wave. I remember there's this creator, I think it's called Tiny Chef or Tiny Hands, something like that, and they actually cook meals that are tiny. And so I think that we're
No.
going to see also this in the food and beverage space.
Do we have any other predictions on what's happening next? Like, where are we seeing the shift going?
So I had this thought of like, first, like if we had supersize and now we're going mini, are we going them back to like just regular size marketing? But that's not a prediction. So what I actually predict is I think we're going to see product morphing. And by that I mean that they're going to showcase a product in the form of another product. So let me give you an example. It could be that you're launching a new lipstick, but you're actually making a plush toy of that lipstick, and then you're marketing the plush toy to then market that product. So we're going to see like products being morphed into something else, and I think that's going to be a trend that'll rise in like maybe the next
Mm.
9 months or so.
I
My
like
brain
that.
is clocking similar cues, but I was actually going to say that I think one corner of the internet that also is a gigantic business that's going to blow up again, because I feel like if we go years back, it was huge and it's been sort of a more subculture underground thing. Collectibles. I think we're going to see a
Yes.
huge rise in collectibles and what that industry will look like. And I think we're seeing some glimpses of this. I think there was something that McDonald's did that they brought back some of their collectible toys or even like the
Mm-hmm.
glasses or something. I can't remember what exactly, but obviously like there's a bit of a nostalgic twist there because, thinking about McDonald's, like we grew up with all those toys being in the Happy Meals, like which is a pretty global experience, but I think what you can do with collectibles now would be amazing. And obviously, as someone who's lived in Hong Kong and recently visited Korea, I think we have that there already. Like there's a huge market for collectibles. So I think that this like miniature piece and just the business of creating collectibles is gonna explode.
I think it's already happening. My colleague actually gave me this. I don't know if you know. It's called Sunny Angel. It's like this naked
Yes.
little, like this figure. They have them in different themes. That was from the Harvest theme, and it had this little like eggplant head, kind of like just like it looked like a normal baby with a little eggplant on the head, and it was on my phone actually, and then it was on my laptop. Like you could kind of like stick it up so you could just see the like cute little head, and it was like so cute and weird at the same time, and like and other colleagues also were using that because she was giving them away, and I'm like, oh my god, I love so much being an adult in 2025 where I can just as a 31-year-old have this like funny collectible like this figurine, like a naked figurine on my laptop, just making me happy. So like I can totally see how adults are going to be like leaning into that like cutesy, even a little bit like childish stuff, the same way that we're seeing like men still playing their Nintendo and PlayStation and things like that. I feel like we've talked a lot about girlification, but I do think that especially with all these like charms, whether it's on our necklace or
Mm-hmm.
whether it's on our bags, I feel like us women we're kind of starting to lean more into those things, and
Toys are
I
having a
love
Yeah.
that.
moment. It was written about,
Toys
there
Yes.
was
are
a
having
whole
a moment.
article. There's a whole article on LinkedIn, and there's this one company called, I think it's called, is it called Jellycat? Something like that,
Mm-hmm.
that does these plush toys, and they're like their sales are through the roof. So it really is a movement towards like play, and maybe it's arrested development as well, and like the fact that millennials can't buy houses, so we're just buying toy houses.
No, I know, but
And
also we're seeing that in entertainment. Like we've got the Paddington stuff coming back, and I see a
Barney's
lot
is
of
coming
like
back, but for adults. So yeah.
exactly. I don't even know what's going to happen with this. Is it a Snow White movie that just came out, or am I just coming up with that?
Hmm.
But either way, yeah, I think like all the worlds are colliding, and it's super interesting how it connects to this sort of supersized mini conversation as well.
For sure.
Okay, I think it's time to do pitch on the house. So this is our new concept where we're giving away pitches either for brands or creators and how they can disrupt in this space. So one thing that I have in mind is this branded like mini and mega product launch, which introduces the same product in different extreme sizes.
I love
uh,
that.
and and we already see that in food and beverage. Like think of like
Hmm.
Heinz, especially here in the US. Like there are like 10 different sizes of that, but I wanna have that for beauty as well, like for soaps and for perfumes and for makeup, so that consumers have more option whether they want a tiny or portable version or a tester version or a classic standard size or a super size statement piece even for a larger family. I want to see that.
I'm gonna riff off of that. I would love to see a fashion brand bring like, and especially if you're a brand that has a very iconic shape for like, let's say a dress. I want them to do a whole collection where you can get the dress in like sort of very oversized maxi version, not just maxi by length, but poof and all big by all dimensions. And then I want to see that same thing done in a very like mini version. Like, what is the least amount of like length and fabric that you can use to still convey that same concept, and then you kind
Ah.
of do these sort of twinning shots that you'll launch the campaign with, so you'll always see them together. And that like ties a little bit also into, there's a Pinterest trend around twinning, around people like dressing in the friends dressing in the same outfits, or couples dressing in similar outfits, or doing like renditions that are very much the same aesthetic and the same style, but just like slightly different. So I think it ties back into that as well.
And it could be extending it to the entire family as well. Like, are you,
Ooh.
I'm thinking like babies,
Hill House is
children.
doing that. They're doing the
So
mini
what if you
versions.
saw the same dress for a 1 year
Yeah.
old and for like a 30-year old, or in the
That
same
was
pattern?
gonna
Mhm.
that was gonna be my pitch because I
Oh,
did
I'm
I
sorry. I
did
stole it.
accidentally stumble inside Cult Gaia
Mhm.
yesterday on Melrose, and they have these amazing baby like kids clothes that are pushing the boundary of like, but like, can they really wear it? But I still want to see more collections that are taking something that clearly is sort of like adult dress and extra in all the ways, and then bring it into a miniature size. And like, I know it's not practical. I know that it's, a waste from that perspective, but for very obvious reasons, I want to see that. And then the other one, what was going to be a miniature glass collections, like mini glasses. I think like
Oh my God. I love mini glasses.
That you
mini
can wear.
glasses. No, 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 mini like drinking glasses,
Drinking.
like
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Like
glass
cups and
collection,
mugs. Yeah.
mini cups and mugs. I think
I'm
No.
that
obsessed with those.
even like the Gustav Westman like cups as like a espresso size, like mini
Hmm.
would be so cute.
I want to get Marimekko in mini.
That's where you lose me, because like now we are turning into our grandmothers who had those glass cabinets full of those mini figurines. Guys, we have to be really careful with this because we're going
Oh,
down a
That's
we're
slippery
true.
going
slope.
there.
Trinkets.
But
We're going
but
down to trinket slope.
my grandma actually did have a cabinet like that, but maybe my equivalent is going to be my mini bags, because I what I didn't confess earlier is that I do also have two of the mini Amina Muadi bags, and they are my prized possessions, and I love
Yanni,
her.
can you please make a content piece about your mini
Mini
bags?
bags.
Please, I'm
Yeah,
begging
I
you.
should. Maybe
Mini
that's a good
And
collection.
what
excuse to
what you
get
can
the
fit into those?
poop bag as well.
We are
I'll work
creating a
on that.
monster.
Yes.
We're creating a monster.
Yes. And you should show what you can fit into that. And I think the fact that you can fit your patience into them is freaking brilliant and iconic. So that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning into House of Content. Let us know if your team supersized marketing or mini everything. And don't forget to like and follow and leave us a review, whether you're wherever you're listening. And we'll see you next week.